Little Red Riding Hood. Once upon a time, in a small village nestled beside a dark, enchanting forest, lived a sweet little girl. Everyone in the village adored her, but no one more than her grandmother, who had lovingly sewn her a beautiful cloak of bright red velvet. The girl wore it so often that soon everyone began to call her Little Red Riding Hood. One sunny morning, Little Red Riding Hood's mother called to her. "Little Red Riding Hood, my dear," she said, "your grandmother is feeling unwell. I have baked some fresh bread and poured some nourishing wine into this basket. Please take it to her." Little Red Riding Hood was happy to help. Her mother continued, "Now listen carefully, my child. Stay on the path, do not stray into the woods, and whatever you do, do not speak to strangers." Little Red Riding Hood promised to obey, took the basket, and set off cheerfully on her journey. The path wound its way deep into the forest, a place full of tall trees and rustling leaves. As Little Red Riding Hood skipped along, humming a little tune, a sly and hungry wolf emerged from behind a thick oak tree. He had been watching her. "Good morning, Little Red Riding Hood," he said, his voice surprisingly smooth. Little Red Riding Hood, forgetting her mother's warning for a moment, replied, "Good morning, dear wolf." "Where are you off to so early with your basket?" asked the wolf, his eyes glinting. "I'm going to visit my grandmother," she replied, pointing ahead. "She's unwell, and I'm bringing her some fresh bread and wine to make her feel better." The wolf's mind began to scheme. "What lovely flowers there are in the woods today," he said, pointing to a patch of vibrant wildflowers just off the path. "Why don't you pick some for your grandmother? She would surely love a beautiful bouquet." Little Red Riding Hood hesitated. She remembered her mother's words, but the flowers were so bright and inviting. Thinking that a bouquet would indeed cheer her grandmother, she stepped off the path and began to gather the blossoms. While Little Red Riding Hood was happily picking flowers, the cunning wolf sped off, taking the quickest route straight to grandmother's cottage. He knocked softly on the door. "Who's there?" called grandmother, her voice weak from her bed. "It's Little Red Riding Hood, grandmother. I've brought you some treats." "Pull the latch, my dear," grandmother said. "I'm too weak to get up." The wolf wasted no time. He pulled the latch, burst into the bedroom, and without another word, swallowed the poor grandmother whole. Then, with a satisfied grin, he quickly put on grandmother's nightgown and cap, climbed into her bed, and pulled the curtains shut, waiting for his next meal. Meanwhile, Little Red Riding Hood, with her overflowing basket of flowers, finally arrived at the cottage. She noticed how quiet it was inside. She pushed open the door and walked into the dimly lit bedroom. "Good morning, grandmother," she said, approaching the bed. "I've brought you some lovely flowers." "Come closer, my dear," a gruff voice replied from under the covers. "I can't quite see you." Little Red Riding Hood stepped closer. Something felt wrong. "Oh, grandmother," she said, looking at the figure in the bed. "What big hands you have!" "All the better to hug you with, my dear," grumbled the wolf. "And grandmother, what big ears you have!" "All the better to hear you with, my dear." "And grandmother, what big eyes you have!" "All the better to see you with, my dear." A chill ran down Little Red Riding Hood's spine. Something was terribly wrong. She looked at the enormous, gaping mouth. "But grandmother," she gasped, "what a terrible big mouth you have!" all the better to eat you with, my dear," roared the wolf, and with those terrifying words, he sprang from the bed and swallowed poor Little Red Riding Hood whole. Full and content, the wolf climbed back into bed and soon fell into a deep sleep, snoring loudly. His snores were so thunderous that they caught the attention of a brave hunter who was passing by the cottage. The hunter, who had long suspected a large wolf was causing trouble in the forest, cautiously entered the house. He quickly realized what had happened when he saw the wolf dressed in grandmother's clothes. Taking out his axe, he carefully cut open the sleeping wolf's belly. To his surprise and relief, out popped Little Red Riding Hood and her grandmother, both safe and sound, though a little dazed. To punish the wolf, they filled his belly with heavy stones. When the wolf finally awoke, he tried to run away, but the stones were too heavy. He stumbled and tumbled into the nearby well, where he drowned. Little Red Riding Hood, her grandmother, and the hunter rejoiced. From that day on, Little Red Riding Hood never strayed from the path again, and they all lived happily ever after.